committee on the 17th, on the 18th. Right. As this is a public meeting, I'll briefly standard protocol for these two things. As follows. All visitors must sign into the visitor book. Entrance to claims. This includes council staff and all buildings. You don't plan the fire evacuation drill or alarm test today. If the fire alarm is activated during your visit, you must exit the building immediately. Council officers will direct you to the nearest fire exit and escort prisoners to the building fire escape point beside the silver at the top of the farm wall. Today, staff should report to their force assembly point. You should remain at that assembly point until directed to reoccupy the building, only to be entering once the fire marshal has advised it is safe to do so. You do not attempt to leave the site by vehicle until cleared to do so by the fire marshal to ensure access routes are kept clear for emergency vehicles. Please note that this is a public meeting and that members of the public may be in attendance in person or virtually. The meeting will be recorded by the clerk and published online for public viewing later. The taking of photographs, including screenshots, audio, or video recordings, are not permitted during meetings unless with express permission of the convener. Step 1. Can members attending virtually activate their cameras where possible to enable you to join by video? And can all attendees mute their microphones when not speaking? Please do not come in to speak unless I invite you to do so. If members attending virtually, and there are a couple of things to do, where possible, can you join, activate the cameras. And if members attending virtually wish to speak at any point, please indicate by clicking on the video. Members in the chamber should also raise their hand and we'll bring you in at an appropriate moment. If members have not been able to access all papers for the meeting, please indicate now. Today, we'll hear each of the items set out in the agenda. I will then invite the officer to present the paper, and members will have the opportunity to ask questions, and then we will proceed to debate and decision. I'll now ask the clerk to take a roll call to confirm attendance to this meeting, and then ask the chairman to indicate if we should develop an interest.
So I have apologies for the meeting today, which is Councillor Forson, who is substituted by Councillor McTaggart, and we have Councillor Miller.
Councillor Keogh gives his apologies as well.
Thanks for that. This is me, sorry, was to declare the interest. No. Okay. Let's move to paper 3A, which is the minutes of the meeting of the Audit and Scrutiny Committee, which was held on this 8th of February 2024. We'll go through those one page at a time. Members with any corrections, errors, or omissions to indicate if you do so. Page 7, page 8, page 9, page 9. AS brackets 2407 has an on title. It says annual report of Chief Social Officer, which will be enforced by an interim update December 2023. Okay. That's page 9. Page 10. Page 11. So with that minor correction, we can drop the minutes. And now it's the minutes of the meeting of the Audit and Scrutiny Committee, which was held on Friday the 7th of March 2024. 13. I have a minor correction to that. The numbering sequence is trivial, but I just might have got it right. I suppose the numbering sequence starts at 12 instead of 1. And that carries on through. It's not great. I just mentioned it. Okay, no other Errors and omissions, fine, that's okay. Then we proceed now to item 4. This is the first of our principal reports today, and it's going to be given by the local police commander, Kat Thompson. Welcome, Kat. This is your first time here. And actually going to be your last time, is that right? Sad to see you. Well, welcome, Kat. Okay, I'll hand over to you.
No, thank you. I'm just going to pass across the division manager first.
Just remember to go up this over the speaking, okay?
Okay, so I'll just do a couple of introductory remarks and then pass to Kat. First, as you say, just to welcome Kat to her role as area commander for Manchester. She's taken up the post just in February, so really delighted to have her on board. I'm really echoing.
Okay, Ms. Dr. Bison in the meeting, please.
Okay, so yeah, so I'll kick off. So just in terms of wider strategic updates from the organisation, I think when we last came to the committee, we were discussing what the preparatory work we're doing on the budget. So just looking for the budget settlement was I suppose better than we were anticipating planning for in terms of flat cash contributions that informed some of those planning assumptions. So on the back of the budget settlement, we've been able to restart resource recruitment and 200 recruits started at the Scottish Police College just at the end of March, and there's another 120 due to start in May, that's the May, so really pleased to see the recruitment of police officers come back on. There's a lot of budget shortfall that we're working through, and we're currently going through a process with VE and in relation to some of our police staff colleague posts, and that's a process that's ongoing this time. With that budget set, we know the chief constable profile has been really clear that we're going to use this next period to remodel the organisation, to bring forward a new target operating model and really focus in on some of the key priorities that she outlined from each strategic post. Over the past couple of months, since we last year, we've had a number of changes in our executive. I suppose not with this committee, DCC Jane Connors has now taken up the executive lead for local policing, and there have been a number of changes in the division. I suppose the one I just wanted to flag is probably my one, as you're aware, you've highlighted there. This will be my last appearance of Scrutiny, and I will finish up in my post as divisional commander at the start of May. 7th of May will be my last day, and between now and then I'll begin a handover with Chief Superintendent Rory Irvin, who's really looking forward to picking up post. I'm sure we'll be in touch with yourself and colleagues when he does take up that role. In terms of the wider mission, we'll pick up and continue to look at the local police plans for Carmarthen, for Fly Division, and for policing in general. Some of the key bits that we're looking to take forward under the change initiative. We're quite curious that this forum, our local policing service delivery review, is taking forward some key initiatives around about capacity, ability to maximise the effectiveness of our resources. And some of the key things we see coming on the horizon that will enable some of that is that our division will take on digital evidence sharing capability at the end of the summer, which is a really big step forward in terms of our technological capabilities that we access and retrieve digital evidence from complainers and those into crime. And we're also, as part of that budget settlement, been able to take forward the rollout of audio and video. So we expect to see the organisation begin to take the seat on the front line of audio and video cameras from the end of this year, and full file will be part of that sequence. I don't have a definitive time on this, but we can expect officers to be in possession of those devices, but certainly over the next 12 to 24 months, the entire organisation, certainly the front line, will benefit from that capability. So I'm happy to take any wider questions on that issue. I'm just looking at handing over to Kat to take us through the report, if that's all right.
It is a kind of before you start, I realised that the important piece of my upstairs. So I'm going to pause the meeting for 30 seconds as I run upstairs again.
In the Olympics this year, if you can do that in 30 seconds. Just.
And so we was coming with Jim to come where we used to go. Slightly bits. Something that was real.
Right, so my fellow councillors will appreciate the irony of the situation. Questions of. That, I did start to do that thing, so please carry on. We're still getting that feedback. How's that?
It's quick coming through if somebody's got the mic on line.
Someone has a device open in the chamber and they're speaking. Someone's got a laptop or a camera.
It's on, but it's down on the road.
It's down on the line, it should be muted. I can't get the access to control to be muted.
Your mic on.
I can hear.
Aye, it's on.
Oh, yeah, it's all, yeah, I haven't touched it. Frightened to touch it. Like, that's all.
Check the microphones, please, especially those joining us online, make sure that you're muted. Let's have another go.
Thanks, Chair. And there's no feedback, so that's great. So thank you. This is my first meeting, so thank you for having me here. So I obviously wasn't enforced at the time in relation to the reporting time, but obviously when I've written the report, one thing that's become really obvious to me is the team that are based in Clarks are really proactive in all the work that they do, and that's obviously evidenced within the report. Just to keep on that side of being in relation to proactivity, so we've had 2 field-based officers, and I know for a time that there's been some shortages, some retirement and some illness, so I just wanted to provide some reassurance to the committee that both those posts will be filled, one's filled at the moment and the next one will be filled as of the 6th of May. We're still recruiting in relation to an inspector post and making sure that all our community posts will be full as well, so we're just going through some recruitment at the moment just to make sure all of our posts within the community team are filled as well, so I just wanted to give that reassurance. I think it's really beneficial for the school-based officers because I think it's really integral for the proactivity to get the messages across about antisocial behaviour, sextortion, controlled substances and impact those have on the individual but also on the community. So it would be really welcome to get those posts filled. The other thing just in relation to the report is STRIVE. So I've not worked in an area which has had this mechanism for having that work done by police and partners. So again, just wanted to provide reassurance to the committee that I think it's an amazing piece of work. We're going through some development at the moment just to make sure that the process and the mechanisms are fit for purpose, because obviously there's been some evolvement over the last 4 years, but it was just to provide some reassurance to the committee that that will continue moving forward. So I think I'm just going to open it up to questions, because I actually think that might be more beneficial to the committee. We've all read the report, so anything that anybody wants to ask, more than happy to go ahead and answer if that would be appropriate.
That's fine. Well, in that case, I'll open for questions from members. Councillor McKenna.
Thanks, Chair. I'm in the Sulky ward, so you've got Antrim Central, and our communities are brilliant and they're so easy to talk to, etc. However, there's a number of sometimes we know that we're through domain, need to work elsewhere, obviously, if there's an incident. So can you tell me if that's going to ease any time in the future? Thanks.
No, thank you for your question. So absolutely, and I do understand the impact that has on the local community if the officers are affiliated to obviously more major incidents or something like that. If there are absences in a response, unfortunately, there are times that community-based officers do backfill. Obviously, we've got to still meet the demands of our community across the Willow Flags area, and we do focus on most immediate incidents at the time, obviously for all communities. But just in relation to both your staff involved, yes, so they will be remaining in post. So we're not going to lose staff involved, so they will remain in post, and the other areas will then have the extra people so that will support. And as the community team, although there's individuals based in each area, as a team, what will happen is if there's something, if there's a specific issue in Saltgate, or if there's a specific issue in Alloa or Fishcross or Tillicree, all the officers will come together and we do an operation specifically in that area. So although you've got your officers, it's the whole team so based on some of the information within your police survey and some intelligence-led policing, what we want to do is basically put the resources into the areas that we can carry out bigger operations to really affect some of the issues that we've got in some ways. So that might mean that some of the officers are moving about, your true officers will remain within the area.
Thanks. Thanks, Chair.
Any other questions? I've got one. It's quite surprising. It relates to, and you probably won't be able to understand, we made this point anyway, it relates to the official, the audit scrutiny committee. This is the data provided on violence, disorder, and antisocial behaviour. The table is on page 41, in which in your report 20, your individual in our report on page 41. There's a series of data given there about April 22 to September 22, for comparison with the figures from the same period in 23. They don't actually match in every case with the data given a year ago. Some quite significant changes. On page 41, your page 20, you're quoting 42.9% as the April 22. This is a series is all collection rate. You're quoting 42.9%. The papers I have from the meeting a year ago says it was 73.7%. That's the first one. And then if we turn the page to 42, the last one, violence and antisocial behaviour, you're quoting 70 for last year, and yet the papers for last year said 31. Another one on page 43, this is the very first one, number of detections for supply of drugs, including possession of 10. You're saying 16, last year was 36. So these are quite significant aberrations. There's a couple more. That's not very significant, this one, but it's road traffic casualty statistics. People slightly injured, you're saying this year 8, last year said 1. I'm just wondering if the reason for that. Has something happened to the data from last year that has been found to be false, or is this just a mistake?
So, I thought I was going to give some explanation about funding. So we do see the figures change, particularly about detection rate, because detection rates that come at the tail end or in the next quarter will retrospective impact. But some of the variations you're talking about, I don't think that's that. So if you're happy to give me an answer to go and just clarify why that's the case, I'll say I'll answer that, I definitely can't because it wasn't a year, but let me take that away and I can come back to you by correspondence just update on why that would be the case.
Okay, that's fine. I'm looking at page 38 of the report, which is year 17. The question I asked about the white band, I think it was, quite a number of them seem to have been intercepted, but there were no charges coming from that. I just wondered why that was. There seems to be quite a number of them. On page 38, let's see if I can find it here. Highlighted it. Yeah, between May and June 2023 is the paragraph after the bullet point taken. This resulted in 24 vehicles being stopped and checked with no criminality found. I just wondered, that was a bit strange, why 24 vehicles were stopped and none of them was found criminal.
Thank you, Chair. So in relation to any of the proactive work that we do on the roads infrastructure, is that sometimes we stop vehicles that aren't involved in criminality. So at that time we were doing lots of road checks because of obviously the traffic criminals that we had intelligence about and about the trends that were clearly ongoing at that time. But in relation to the vehicles stopped, once we'd done all the checks, there was no criminality identified. So sometimes that happens.
No, I get that, but I just wondered if there was maybe something wrong with the setup, the fact that you stopped 24 vehicles that looked as if they might be involved, but they weren't. Does that mean that the problem isn't there? Is that the conclusion we draw from that the problem has been overstated?
No, not necessarily. So clearly we were stopping all vehicles, so it wasn't a case that we were just stopping the ones that we felt might fall into that criteria. We were stopping all vehicles at the time. So that would be the reason. It's not necessarily that it was the wrong area, it was the wrong timing, it's just we were stopping all vehicles and no criminality was identified.
I think that's all I've got. Was there anything? No. Okay, we'll finish the question. Now we move to propose the paper. I'll formally propose the paper. It's a very comprehensive report, as always, huge amount of information, very informative, very positive. It's good. Right, I'm looking for a second.
I think so.
That's the right time, thank you. Right, now moving to debate. This is really if we wish to debate the paper before we accept it or reject it. Normally speaking, this is an area where the council themselves carry out this part. But if there are any matters of fact that the police wish to correct in the debate, then please let us know. But normally you don't have an influence on that. We're going to play this in the next section just for clarity. We do sometimes get people getting very excited wanting to come in, but in the debate section is the councillors allocating the paper to whether they would accept it. So, councillors, do we wish to debate the paper? No, that's fine. Then, do we accept the paper? Go for it. Okay. Right.
Thank you very much.
Good luck in the next phase, Harry.
Thank you. And I'll continue to keep a really close interest in both Valley and Blackman. So thank you very much. And all the best.
Now we've gone to paper 5, which is the farm performance road. There we go. And so hearing by Peter.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, everybody. By means of introduction, I'm Group Commander Lee Tulloch for the Flight Management 5 Sterling Local Senior Officer Area within Scottish Fire Rescue Service. And to my left is Watch Commander James Traynor, who is an operational Watch Commander at Alloa Fire Station on the Red Watch. I'm aware that we've got 2 reports submitted for review today, so some form of strategic update I'll pause until the second one because it's probably more pertinent there. However, for awareness at this time, the Chief Fire Officer of the Scots Fire Service, CFO, Ross Haggett, has informed the board of his intention to retire. So the fire service will be commencing a recruitment process to identify a successor for the exiting Chief Fire Officer. So just for noting at this point, obviously on record, we wish to thank Ross for everything that he's done in his efforts since taking over from the previous Chief Fire Officer. I just wanted to inform the committee this morning just for your awareness. So I'm pleased to submit to your recommendation the Audit and Scrutiny 6-month report for the period the 1st of April to the 30th of September 2023. I'll briefly provide a summary of performance and then I'll welcome any questions that you may have. Section 2.1 of the report shows the 12 key performance indicators that the fire service are asked to report upon based on the current global plan for flood management. I'm pleased that in all but 2 of the indices, SFRS are demonstrating performance that places us below the target headline figure for each KPI. As had previously been discussed, the headline target is a reflection of the current local plan, and we will soon be entering into consultation with all key stakeholders on a new local plan for Plant Manager that will enable us to review these targets. I can confirm that we have experienced no fire-related fatalities in either the domestic or commercial setting. The fire service has experienced a slight increase in domestic-related non-fatal injuries, but are pleased to confirm that no injuries sustained were identified as more than minor or requiring a precautionary check from our colleagues within Scottish Ambulance Service or the AHS. SFRF reports that deliberate secondary fires remains on track to be in line with our headline targets set, but that the number of incidents attended has reduced from the same reporting period in 2022. With reference to our local priorities, priority number 1, which is local risk management preparedness, all our firefighters have continued to demonstrate high levels of operational preparedness through the ongoing maintenance of our core skills and training for operational competence framework. Crews continue to receive additional training on emerging risks, including enhanced chemical protection equipment and flood response training, as well as completing our programme of operational intelligence inspections within the region. Priority 2, which is unintentional harm. Appendix 1 provides a summary of our collective and preventative work streams undertaken to see improved outcomes for manager residents. I am pleased to confirm that we attended 269 properties to continue our home fire safety visit programme, and with help from Plant Manager Council, have supported the acquisition and distribution of additional fire retardant products to high risk and vulnerable residents. We also actively engage with all schools in the region, promoting improved life choices, fire safety education and road safety initiatives. This has included the continuation of the successful youth volunteer scheme at Alva, which bore fruit in September 2023 when youth volunteer firefighter Logan Robinson went to the aid of a local resident in need of medical intervention. I would like to place on record our pride in Logan, who, thanks to his efforts, assisted in life-saving intervention and subsequently been awarded with the Chief Fire Officer's Commendation for Bravery. Priority number 3, which is accidental dwelling fires. Plant Manager experienced 24 ADS in this reporting period. This is an increase of 13 against 2022, but still remains on track to be below our overall headline figure. Kitchen fires continues to be an area of focus, but the severity of incidents are encouragingly small. SFRS continues to encourage residents in both the private and rental setting to ensure they regularly check their smoke detection and address any faulty or dysfunctional units appropriately. With regards to priority 4, deliberate fire setting, deliberate fires have remained stable over 3 reported years of data. Plant Manager North continues to be an area of focus for intervention strategies. The main incident type recorded was woodland and crops, and may be linked to the misuse of ignition sources during the summer heat events of 2023. It is also worthy of note that we have also experienced a rise in the number of fires involving garden sheds. Plant Manager experienced 57 events involving secondary fires, which, whilst tracking high, is still a reduction on our 2022 figures. We continue to work with partners to encourage the reduction in antisocial behaviour activities that can lead to fire setting in our communities. This includes joint patrols and engagement in high-risk locations. Priority 5, built environment. The number of incidents in the commercial setting have remained half of those recorded in 2021. This indicates ongoing success in our engagement with duty holders through our fire safety audit programs and also our post-fire reviews. This can also be seen directly in the confirmation of no fire-related deaths or injuries for this reporting period. Priority 6, unwanted fire alarm signals or UFAS. As discussed in 2023, the fire service implemented a new approach for a response to UFAS, which began on the 1st of July 2023. Plant Manager has been a direct beneficiary of this new strategy, seeing the number of incidents reduced from 102 to 62 for the reporting period against 2022. We're seeing a continued downward trend and are confident that the risk of both operational response to UFAS and the impact on business productivity will continue to reduce as duty holders continue to understand their responsibilities and work with the fire service to reduce UFAS events. Priority 7, which is transport and environment. Manchester roads continue to be a safe road network, and SFRS only were asked to attend 3 road traffic collisions within this reporting period. Whilst there are no trends identified for road hotspots from our data, we will continue to work with local drivers in all wards to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, a continued environment for safe road use. Graph 22 of the report provides a summary of additional incident profile types, which includes water-related incidents that the fire service have been asked to respond to. Whilst we are preparing for emerging risks through environmental change, we are pleased to only report 4 incidents involving flooding and only 1 incident where water rescue trained personnel were required to support individuals in difficulty within our inland water network. In conclusion, this report, alongside previous reports during the life cycle of the current local plan for Clackmannshire, continues to see improvements in fire safety prevention activity. Fire service will not be complacent, however, and will continue to work with our partners and stakeholders to support wider public health and safety strategies that seek improved outcomes for local, national and public safety. On that, I'll pause and I'll see if you have any questions for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Councillors. Councillor Smith.
Thanks, Chair. In the 3.4, there's an increase. Sorry, I'm just going back to it. An increase in accidental dwelling fires.
Yes.
13. Can you tell me if there's any kind of pattern there? Is it maybe people with mental health issues or older people, or is there a sort of pattern to the increase where we're maybe needing to look more at the circumstances around that? Thanks.
Absolutely. We did note that when we generated the report. I am not overly concerned at this stage with regards to that. We will see from the next reporting period if that trend continues to rise. And what I will say is that the figure reported for 23, the reporting period was the same as 21, whereas year 22 we saw a drop. So whether that's a sign of a spike or whether it's something else, we'll see. However, in relation to your data, I don't have all of the incidents actually detailed in the report, but section 5.1 onwards, it does give some context into that. So, for example, 5.3 of the report showed that 41% of all accidental dwelling fires was linked to cooking appliances, 14 were linked to adults within the age range of 18 to 64, and 4 were linked to elderly residents over 65. So, I wouldn't necessarily say there's particular trends based on a demographic, however, we have seen a spike from the 2020 figures. So what we do as part of our efforts when we attend these instances, we carry out post-domestic incident response, which allows us to then ensure that if there are smoke detection in the property, which may have caused failure to alert residents, then we will obviously place these into the property. If individuals are identified as maybe needing additional support mechanisms, then we will supply what we call an AP1, which is another protection referral into our partners. So, for example, if there's signs of chaotic lifestyle within the property, or if individuals are showing signs or symptoms of potential mental well-being concerns, then we'll work with our partners and we'll hand them over to the social care and we'll do their checks and balances and we'll support them when we can. We also have our community engagement teams as well, so if we identify individuals, so I mean in this context we're talking about accidental dwelling fires, if we identify individuals that are deliberately setting fires, we'll have fire setting interventions with them, which will hopefully reduce the impact of future incidents moving forward. So hopefully that answers your question, but if you are looking for any particular data, then please reach out to me or through our information governance team. We can also supply information for you.
Just as a supplementary, that was what I was trying to get at with that group. So 60 to 64, have we seen a rise in mental health being a factor in these 13 additional hires. I know there's a rise in mental health issues since the pandemic, and I just wonder if that's becoming a pattern.
With regards to the data, so the data is driven from an incident reporting system or IRS. That's what the lodge commanders, when they come back from incidents, they populate that for. And it's a key set of indicators which they have to populate, which is given through UK government. So it's a centralised database, so we can't necessarily extrapolate information on mental well-being, for example, from that. However, what we can do is we can identify if there's been an increase from our community system, our CSET system, if individuals have been on our radar. So we've been to their property more than once, for example, we submitted these AP1 forms. So there's only so much information I can get from the IRS system because, like I said, it's the national government set standard that we have to report on. But we do work as a local entity to identify individuals that need additional support.
Thanks. Thanks, Chair.
Lee, a question about headline targets. I think I asked this question last year, and I should have written the answer down. It puzzles me. Just taking one, for example. Page 61, that's year 13. Deliberate driving fires. We've got experience of 11, 8, and then 11. Yeah. But the headline target is 19. And it sounds to an idiot as if you're trying to encourage people. So you reach your target. So obviously that's not right. What does that mean? What's the purpose of the headline target?
So the headline target is a direct uplift from local plans. So that is what we've identified as where we are benchmarking fire safety performance against, alongside the priorities that are there. Now I can't speak for the existing local plans. I wasn't in post when that was consulted with. However, when we move over to the next report, this is our precursor to that consultation for renewing the local plans. So what I would say is we are happy to review the headline targets, but we have to report on the existing plan that's currently in place. So again, we could look at headline targets for non-fatal RTC casualties or non-ADF non-fatal casualties. Reality is we want them to be zero. As an organisation, we can't control fires from happening. We can only try and prevent them from occurring and then react and intervene when we need. So if we had all our targets to zero, then we'd obviously be straight away would be showing performance, because it's a reflection of the efforts that our operational crews are undertaking. So I hope that answers your question. Again, from a local plan. Yeah, I think she'll twice you asked it now, so we need to put that together. Absolutely.
So we might infer from that that in the dark days of the previous era, things were a lot worse, and they're a lot better now. Yeah, it's quite a compliment.
Absolutely, as I say, can't speak for my forebears, but absolutely, we've seen significant improvements across all of our indices. Now, whether we set our targets at the 5-year average of what we've experienced in the past, and then that's the benchmark that we set, or we bring that into 3 years, this will come through the consultation as we move forward.
A final question is linked indirectly to the false alarms. What's the average cost of a single caller, one unit going to a what does that cost roughly?
So, an operational fire plan has been mobilised to the UFAS incident. There was a figure from the consultation, I believe, I need to go check this, but around £1,000 to mobilise the fire plans to an emergency fire signal. On top of that, you're then looking at the damage to productivity for a business decanting from the property. On average, they were outside for half an hour before business was able to be reinstated. So I can get that information for you, but I don't have it. I don't want to put my assumptions as to the costings behind that. But when the consultation went ahead for the new UFAS production strategy, there's quite a lot of detail in that with regards to the impact, not just to the fire service, but also to road users, and then also to the businesses that are directly impacted on that. So, as you can see from the report, we've seen a significant reduction in the number of youth floods. And there's still work to be done. Also bear in mind that the report came in on the 1st of July, which is halfway through the reporting period that we see here. So I'd like to think that the next report will be our annual report, but then the subsequent one, which will be a 6-month from April 1st to September 24, that will give you a true reflection of where we sit with youth floods. However, Joe's here is they definitely experience the benefits of the reduction because it's allowing them to be more targeted with their training. It's allowed them to be less disruptive when they're doing their community engagement events where how often have we been at community galas or events or anything like that, and then you get the call and you tip out because someone's burnt toast. More often than not, these are the sort of things that we would go to. So the placing it on the duty holders, the responsibility on them to carry out that initial inspection without placing themselves in direct risk has allowed sort of like a double lock, and has allowed them to actually carry out that check before alerting the fire service. So there's been positives all around here, but there has been a learning curve for the duty holders with regards to their responsibility, their fire risk assessments, etc. But we've got a team that are dedicated to working with them, and we see some real positive outcomes.
I thought you would recognise some of that information when you're talking to the guilty parties in cigarettes industrial.
So we do have a youth house champion, Audit Tim Meadows, who's based at Stirling Fire Station. So we do identify residents who both non-sleep who are protected within the youth house strategy, sleeping accommodations who are protected, and non-sleeping, most commercial settings. When we identify trends or spikes, the youth house champion will engage with the duty holder and identify why that is, whether it's a change in their internal policies, whether it's the infrastructure that they have in place, just to look at that. Like I say, we are really giving benefits to these interventions.
Yeah. Can you go to page 19 of your report? That's 67. There's a bar chart there in the middle. In the middle, it's UFA by false alarm type, and the largest category is due to apparatus. And then you look to UFAs by cause, and it's human. That appears to be a contradiction. What am I misunderstanding?
So, if you think to a few years ago when we did our Take 5 strategy, human activation can be from cleaning products around a detector head, so spraying aerosols, for example. It could be, as I said, burning toast, for example. That's not malicious, that's accidental, but it's the detector that actually is triggered because of that. So that's where that determination, obviously, those companies, maliciously breaking their gas code point, for example, or something along those lines. So, yeah, a bit of that, yeah.
Any further questions? Well, we'll now formally propose the paper. Looking for a second. Councillor Bennett, thank you very much. Do the committee wish to enter into debate? It seems not. Do we accept the paper? We do. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 6, which is the International Fire and Rescue Plan Review. Has this been given by yourself?
Yeah.
You did that one, okay.
Yeah, I won't throw James under the bus. So, yeah, I didn't write this report. This report was written from our information governance team to all council areas. So, my intention wasn't to summarise as I did before, because in essence, this report, which is the Local Fire Rescue Plan Review for 2023, is a summary of the life cycle of the plan. So all of our scrutiny summary reports that we provided are cumulative in the information that's contained within this report. The reason why we submitted this report is because this is a precursor to the consultation for the local plans, and as per our information governance and the bureaucracy that we need to do in order to do the governance for this, we also need to start this. What I will say is the fire service will be embarking on a number of consultations this year, which is the reason why there's been delays in publicising this earlier. The impacts of COVID has had its part with regards to our ability to structure our local plans, and because we are well from issuing the new local plan through collaborative consultation with all elected members. So I won't go through the report piecemeal. However, if you do have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. You'll notice that the graph style is slightly different, where we have an upper and a lower range, and then we're looking to see from there if there's any particular area of concerns. So, for example, if you look at page 3 of our report, I'm not sure what that page is on your, which talks about home fire safety visits. For 2020 and 2021, we can see a significant drop off in the number of home fire safety visits, and that's naturally as a play of COVID and our inability to obviously engage with residences in their homes due to lockdown and things like that. So, as I said, we're going into consultation, so we will reach out to members so that we can get their thoughts on headline targets, for example, and what the key performance indicators you wish for from our report as we go in here. And then the local officer will obviously endorse and then bring forward our recommendations for our local plan. As I say, we are going through a number of consultations, as you're also very much aware of an election year also. Or potential election years, let's say. So we will be also looking at, similar to as the police and barrier reform consultation based on modernisation of the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, how we wish the fire service to look into the future. So I won't go too much into that because communication before we coming out in due course to the executive and also to elected members. So it's just to make you aware that will be coming and there will be a part to play in the pre-consultation from that. So if you'll be kind with me with questions, I'm available for any questions that you have.
Okay, any elected members of the question? I might ask one, thank you. Page 83, the spike that's shown to the right hand side, it's year 4 out of 83.
Page 4.
It's a surprising spike. I thought it's not in the middle of COVID or anything like that. I just wondered, was that you catch-up exercise what you hadn't been able to do during COVID?
Yeah, so the way that the Home Fire Safety Visit Programme works is we generate home fire safety visits, as I said, through post-domestic incident response. So that's our reaction to operational incidents. Members of the public are able, either through our website or through to request a home fire safety visit, or we receive referrals into the organisation from partner agencies. So what happens is these are then scored based on a risk assessment form that the individual will complete, and then they'll set a pending list. So during COVID, that pending list remained in place, but we weren't able to act upon them. So when we came out of lockdown, probably the second lockdown, they now they were looking at then there was an instruction for operational crews to get these pending lists eradicated. So there's a lot of effort put in to engage with the public in, because this is there for a significant period of time. There's a duty of care there to make sure that we provide that safety for us.
Excellent. One final question, and one of which I have a personal interest. I think it's to do with page 94, your page 15. And it's to do with road traffic incidents.
Yeah.
I just wondered if these are concentrated in any particular area of the county.
Mic on, please, Chair.
Oh, sorry. Are we getting this chair? And just wondering about road traffic offences, are we getting to identify an area which is a dangerous, an area of danger for traffic accidents in the county?
So as I alluded to in my previous report, when we actually generate the data, we do look at the incidents listed to identify trends, a particular roundabout, a particular bend, etc. And if we do, then the station commander, who is Rachel Rogers, who you've seen previously, she will sit in a group with colleagues from Police Scotland, from road traffic, for example, to highlight these areas of concern, and then obviously look at interventions that take place. To date, I haven't seen any particular trends or hotspots. I've been close now for 2 years, so there's not been any particular road section in the area that I would say is a particular hotspot from a fire service perspective. The police may see a slightly different matter. We also need to be mindful that the fire service will only respond to RTCs when requested. So, more often than not, a member of the public will contact the ambulance service or the police prior to phoning the fire service, and it's just that calamity working on the incident ground that will get mobilised or we see them on route. So I can't answer that question without having a full data range in front of me, but there's nothing that stands out as particularly obvious at this stage.
I was just concerned that I noticed in most regards, the flight manager East, which is my own ward, is normally quite good. Normally, it's the worst possible, and I'm wondering if it's the stretch between Dollar and Tilly, because that where you get most of the serious accidents where you recall.
So again, going back to the IRS reporting system, when we look at road traffic accidents, they don't have to be like high-speed collisions. It could be accidental miles which results in diesel or fuel being spilled onto the carriage way. It could be that you have an individual who's medically trapped as opposed to physically trapped. So it doesn't necessarily indicate the severity of the RTC, it's just the number of RTCs that have been recorded as that classification. So if you wish, I could scroll back into the data and have a look, but normally we pick up on that and we capture 6 and 12 month suite, of course.
That's fine. Thanks, Peter.
So, Joseph.
That's just why we're reassurance, because we hadn't looked like a watch level, and we did identify, we know where more likely they're going to be, and we've been in role now over 18 months. So the sample size is small, but certainly we're reassurance, we're not identifying any hotspots, we're not seeing common trends occur. And so certainly actions for on specific places, looking at trap management, still wouldn't say there's any particular cause of concern, just what happens to this spike statistics. Certainly adequate.
Okay, thanks. That's comforting. Any further questions? No? Well, I will then formally propose the paper for a seconder. Councillor Berry, do members wish to debate the paper? No? Are we happy to accept it? Review the paper? Yes, I think so. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
No. That's my opinion. No, it doesn't say that. All right, this is feedback. I don't think what I think it's you C, just as high the C. Sorry.
To item 7 on the agenda, this is the partnership performance 2023-24 business plan update, and this will be given by Stuart Pickler.
Thank you, Chair. The Football Related Committee with an update on performance against Partnership Performance Business Plan 23-24 up to 30th September 2023. The proposal is cite a number of areas of achievements, but also where there are areas for improvement. The risk profile remains broadly similar to our last report. There are signs that cost inflation is easing, while impact remains significant, and although there have been a huge effort on cyber security, the environmental factors associated with our structure, the risk remains high. I would wish to conclude before questions by recognising the huge effort and commitment that staff continue to put into improving services despite the ongoing challenges. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Can I ask you a question about things like PAM assistant e-tickets, which are mentioned on page 98? I don't know much about these, but presumably we carry out some kind of cost-benefit analysis before going to these external systems. Is that true?
So I don't yeah, so the Audit system is a health and safety system, and we're required to go through a procurement process in that, develop a business case, and obviously seek council approval for budget for that. So there certainly is a clear process on that one in terms of ensuring value for money, and that one to go through that. I think that one maybe perhaps will be in the future. Also, the PAM Assist is what to do with supports for staff, and perhaps maybe better if I ask Chris to just take a look about that one also, because it's much closer to it than I. Thanks, Chris.
Actually, yeah, if I go back to the Audit system, so that is a shared procurement with further authorities. So actually, with the joint procurement, and so the cost is much cheaper, how much against the procurement. PAM Assist very support its council. We monitor that and usage of that, and that's as part of our occupation of contract, which is necessary.
Thank you. Right. Yeah, page 100, 3.21. Not all of the intended actions within the plan have been delivered to date, and the year-end slippage is likely for some projects. Does any of that have any significant big impacts?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I mean, the one that springs to mind is the annual accounts. They are slipped. They're probably later than they have been any time since I've been involved. There are a number of issues associated with that, and so we are working with the external auditors and staff internally to ensure that we bring that one forward. Perhaps if I could just have a quick scoot through, just to make sure for completeness. I think that would probably be the main one that I would want to highlight. There's also issues in there that has been discussed previously with the committee, which is about slippage in terms of ensuring that internal audit actions are completed. And again, that is a piece of work that's ongoing with significant focus around that. I think those would be the main two that I would point out to. That's right, thanks.
Right, question on 105. This is to do with the long term. Because I just wonder if the figures give us the FTE days lost through sickness, but it doesn't actually give us the head count that's involved now. We don't know. It's not clear from that data. It's just one person off all the time or 100 people off for a day kind of thing. Might be useful to have that information so we can see not only the totality of the impact, but how spread.
Yeah, so the report is presented the way in terms of how it's presented to the NGBF and the council's recording compared against average FTE slot across local authority. What we do report on headcount in other forums through tripartite team, etc. But we can look at updating then we'll see if we can add in it may not be meaningful to add in the headcount. But we basically across the total absences across the total authorities headcount is an average of days. So there'll be some people who are off for 1 day, and some people who are off for multiple days. So the average is based on the overall headcount and overall total days lost.
But you see, the point of the question is it's two different problems. It's one person off for all the time. It's a different problem for 100 people off here and there, because they're indicating two different things. The one person for one thing for a long time is a specific, and that's not a consistent problem. If you've got 100 folk off for a day here, that suggests there's something wrong internally. If it's spread, I thought. People, that's the only reason I was thinking about using to have some idea of the number. To see whether you can give me an analysis yourself, correct now, is how you see that.
You'll recall that this last audit committee with regards to maximising attendance in the last half of that. So we're adding this. So long-term absence is an issue for the council. We have an aging workforce, we have chronic illnesses, so we are dealing with that through maximising attendance. Short-term absence is more probably disruptive because you can't plan for it, whereas longer-term absence is more likely more able to plan for it going forward. But we are tackling absences through maximising attendance and support. But again, offline can be kind of indicative figures in terms of the number of staff who be off longer term and shorter term. But as I say, do include that in the higher level securities and tripartite. That comes through on a 6 monthly basis.
Okay, thanks. Right. Yeah, you mentioned Stuart the annual accounts being late. Does that pose any significant risks for the council in terms of either financial or reputational?
Yeah, I think apologies, I think that the reputation was getting the accounts done and a number of reasons for that. I think it tends to retention, sickness, absence, not just for us but also for external others. There are national issues there. So in terms of that, we are working hard to ensure that we can get that over the line as quickly as we can. I think it's always it's always better to be secure that you have the annual accounts done and dusted, and then the next year you've got that council basically to work forward from it. I would say it's a lot of reputation issues that on the external we keep a close eye on.
This is semantics. On page 114, the second last point, the use of the word complete, I couldn't work out in my head whether that meant complete as in total or complete as in finish. Is the job to complete the review, or is the job to finish, or to have a complete review, or to finish the review?
Apologies, which indicator you're referring to.
Right, sorry, PNP 21014 on page 114. Column action uses the word complete, but it's not clear to me whether that means that you're going to do a total financial regulations review, or you're going to finish financial regulations review. I know it's semantic.
Yeah, so I've got, thank you. So completeness, I guess to some extent that's probably the work on that. We would seek to undertake a review of contract standing orders, and obviously to do that we need to complete it. So yes, I understand what you mean. So perhaps that's what we need to just reflect on in terms of the wording of that. Yes. So, I think if there has been work on that, it's more on the preliminary rather than substantial work at this stage of the game.
The action is to finish it.
Yes, the action would be to undertake a complete review of contract standing orders. All I would say on that, because it's an ongoing process, that it tends to be minimal tweaks and changes as legislation's changing, or perhaps maybe there's the risk of changes, so it doesn't tend to be major.
Thank you. Right, no more questions.
Can I just
Councillor
have
Whittaker.
one, please?
Thanks, Chair. I've got to have a look at this. Percentage of health and safety risk assessments. There's quite the 22-23 value was 40%. Sorry, page 104. Page 2, appendix. So 22-23, 40%. Targets 100%. 23-24 is 60%. So we didn't seem to be reaching or even getting close to our targets. Does this pose a risk to the staff? Does this pose a reputational risk? Is it specifically in one particular area of the council, or is it over the entire council that these are failing? Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks, Councillor. I'm just going to show this comment in a second with the detailed information. That can probably come back on the risk side of things. So obviously this one is a point in time and we are making progress on it. But coming back to that question, undoubtedly, health and safety is probably, as a manager, is probably your primary responsibility is the health and safety of your staff and customer service and other things coming into that. So there are severe financial penalties, there are personal penalties for individual managers. This is one of the ones where it's their personal responsibility. So there's certainly a personal risk for managers, there are risks for the council, there are financial risks, and there are undoubtedly reputational risks. And I have to say, Sean actually knew more than anybody that when the health and safety inspector do come in to look at us in terms of whether there have been failures in safe systems of work, it's quite disruptive and it's quite stressful on staff, and particularly perhaps going to the personal liability as well. So we have been focusing a lot of effort using the Audit system and making sure that we're getting our risk assessments updated on the Audit system. So there's been a huge amount of effort led by the Chief Executive, understanding the risks, and we need to do that. So, Sean, so you're able to maybe perhaps give an update on where we're sitting at the moment.
Yes, so what we do is a risk profiling exercise. So we work with team leaders right across the council to identify what risks each of the teams are exposed to. So that then gives us a picture of what risk assessments we should have in place, because that was one of the big issues to start with, is how many risk assessments do we actually need. It was really hard to quantify that, so we're now getting to a place where we can quantify at least what risks need to be covered. Exactly how you do that can be done in different ways, but at least we now know what risks we're looking to, or we're getting close to knowing what risks want to be covered. From that, there is quite a significant piece of work that needs to be undertaken to make sure all those risks are covered, and we're well on the way to achieving that. There are still gaps, some services are better than others. From my point of view, I think most of the high risks, if that makes sense, are being covered. It's probably more than the lower level risks where people just haven't realised that is actually a risk that needs to be written down. I think a lot of the measures are there, it's just the paperwork and making sure that is covered in a written document that we can then evidence to police organisations and get it required.
Back into. So something that you said there is actually quite worrying, that we're identifying risks that we hadn't identified before. Have there been changes in legislation? Have there been changes in governance that means that risks are perhaps different to how they were before, or they're perceived differently? Or have we failed to identify them for a long time and we're only just realising that now? That was the quite worrying aspect to that. Thanks.
A lot of the legislation has been in place for a number of years. Some of it has changed more recently, but most of the legislation has been in place for some time. Again, it's not necessarily that the issues haven't been identified, it's just they've not been formally recorded. And that's what we're doing now, is making sure we've got that formal process in place to make sure that it's properly documented. As I say, I'm not that we're not covering our risks, but just need that documentation to prove that we are covering them all.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding this register. In a year, because I looked out the same here for last year, there's been only one move in the risk register, and it was a likely movement down at 1 point. How should we be reacting to the fact that there's been so little movement in the risk register?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've reflected on and perhaps discussed previously at the committee. I mean, I feel reasonably comfortable in that risk assessment. I do think that the environmental factors at the moment there's a lot of unpredictability, there's a lot of volatility. I think we are starting to see, for example, inflation rates coming down, but I don't think that has had a meaningful impact either on our communities or local businesses or the council. In terms of our costs, so hopefully that will start to ease as we're moving into further budgets. But I think at the moment, I think it just feels too early to be reassessing that. There are certain things in there. So, for example, cyber security, we have done a massive amount of cyber security, but the environmental risk factors are significant. There are, in some ways, some of the, I'm trying to choose my words here, but some of the threats that might have been actually more tangible and visible in the past from other countries are now coming through cyber, and although we put a lot of effort into that, I think the risks are probably growing. We will have to continue to put a lot of effort into that. And I guess I was just picking up something, I can't remember if it was this morning or yesterday, and I was reading something that was on the BBC webpage about fraud, and it becoming absolutely cyber fraud, becoming a huge problem. And obviously, we do quite a lot of our business through electronic means, and we store a lot of information through electronic means. And so, if anything, I'm not quite sure how much more that risk can go up, but I just feel that risk is really something that we just can't take our eye off the ball. So, in some ways, if you were just looking at it in strict performance terms, it probably doesn't paint a great picture of the fact that it's not moving. But it's not something that I'm feeling that I'm going to be making any excuses about, because I think there's so much volatility in the environment as such. And I say maybe when the financial and economic climate perhaps settles down a little bit, does, because I think that'll be welcome for everybody. We might want to look at that, but and certainly we're just talking about health and safety there, particularly with some public health. So there's a number of governance issues as well, and some of that for me, Lee mentioned it earlier, and I know folks get a bit tired about hearing about the pandemic, but I think it did have a significant disruptive effect on business. I think we are getting through it. There are elements of our cyclical work that were really strong and fell away, and we're having to pedal hard to get back to where we were with some of that. So that combined with elements of recruitment and retention, which is a huge worry and concern across the piece, because all public sector agencies are struggling with recruitment, and I think folks feel that every day. And as you've got an ageing workforce, that exacerbates the issue. So not to be a picture of gloom and doom, but I do think the environment is quite challenging at the moment. So but it's equally open to challenges to what our managers doing. I understand the question, what our managers doing to mitigate those risks to but I do feel it's an accurate assessment.
It does have the time, it's going to have a waterfall. Okay, thanks. Any more questions from members? No? In that case, I will forward the piece of paper. Second, please. I can ask the members to spend a minute to wait. If not, I'll remind you to paper. Yeah. Right, that's past the 2 hour point. Convention suggests we have a short break at this point to recharge our glasses, as it were, for health's sake. And we will reconvene in 5-2. Sorry, folks, my team's
That's been a quick 2 hours there.
I'm supposed to be trying this last time.
So, my apologies. We come to item 8 on the agenda. Then we actually leave the room by disadvantage. Item 8 is the corporate performance report and will be given Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. This is a corporate report provides an overview of corporate performance. The earlier elements of the sections of the report set out contextual data for the county, and there will be a lot of that is community planning and territory, so there will be a deeper dive into that later in the committee when the improvement plan is scrutinised. Later sections provide further information at a service level. It's probably also worth me saying at this stage that we are looking to look at how we present this data to make sure it's aligning more closely with the future priorities. But for now, we're using the sections that are used in the local government benchmarking framework to enable comparison and show how performance against targets and trends over time. So it is quite a wide-ranging report, Chair. So I, myself, and colleagues in the room would be happy to answer any questions that members may have on this report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Members wish to ask any questions? Predictably, one from me, Stuart. Page 138, which is attainment jobs.
Leave a mic on, please. Mic.
Yes, very
And to move down.
Yeah, sorry, I was there again. 138, page 138, section 3.1, educational attainment. The very first paragraph, I read out 2 sentences. It says, it can be seen that early learning and childcare establishments traditionally achieve strong inspection results. Although this has however declined from first place to 31st over the last 4 years. Surely that requires some explanation, because all authority will be similarly affected by external conditions. Why is that happening here?
Okay, thanks for your question in relation to that service and inspections. For this one, we had 1 local authority inspection and 2 local partners who brought an ELC that we saw take account for an inspection process that were all good. And there's obviously actions following that. There's a revisit that will happen this year following that. But in the same window, we had 20 inspections that were good or above. Just to put into context the amount of good work that is going on, the amount of the focused work of when it doesn't go good, that we need to go and address that, and we'll absolutely do that there just now. For the 20 inspections that were good, 9 were local authorities that were good and above, 8 were childminders, and 3 were partner ELCs. So yes, it does show there's been a decline, but just put in context, that was 3 that were focused on versus the 20 that did really well in that time period. The very frequent ELC inspections, so unlike school inspections, we maybe had 2, possibly 3 a year. You can see in that time period that was 20 over 20 inspections, and there's a real focus on that to get it right for young people.
So what you're saying basically is, depending on where the inspections fall, it can have a dramatic effect upon your positioning in the table.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's great that it could be focused on a lifting. For that period, we had many good inspection 20 versus the 3 there that were addressing. I don't know if Adrian wants to add more to your question.
Morning. I think part of the issue for us as a small local authority is when we translate numbers to percentages. So our total number of PLC establishments is far smaller. So when we have a drop in 1 or 2, it significantly impacts our percentage overall.
No, I mean, we first, without the first, I mean, the second order is strange. Am I misunderstanding the extent of the calamity here? Or is it just a statistical nuance?
Chair, I would say that just picking up on Adrian's point with the local government benchmarking framework, that is small. And if you look at the trends, you'll see for Scotland it's a very gentle, undulating trend. And if you look at Clackmannanshire data, you'll often see big spikes. And that is because we've got such a small population that anything that's moving slightly off the norm, either it goes up abruptly or down abruptly. So what I would say is, it's just a cautionary note, whenever looking at the local government benchmarking framework, is perhaps not to take 1 year in isolation. And if I look at that trend here, I can actually see it's like that when you look at the national with more undulating because it's a bigger population size that the samples are being taken from. So I think what Adrian is saying, that doesn't just apply to anything, it applies to probably anything in Clackmannanshire. And if you look at the graphs, you will see that the graphs are much more spiky in Clackmannanshire just because of that. So it's probably worth looking at the trend over time. Rather than just 1 year in isolation, I think that probably gives you a more accurate representation of what's going on. Not to take away from the fact, that Colin and Adrian was saying, particular issues there in this year.
Maybe I should make a point. Maybe the point then would be going forward, not put dramatic statements like that in there without giving explanations to why that would be, without mitigating something. Yeah, because when I read that, I thought we were being extremely well educated, getting all sorts of audits and commendations. And then it seemed to be going down well, but staying here in 4 years, we're not a clue. That's the impression it's given, the way it's presented. That's the point. The council very pleased.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just one thing that comes to mind right away. If we're all doing the same thing, then obviously we're going to look at different ways of it spiking. I mean, because Clackmannanshire is such a, you can't have Clackmannanshire looking the same as Glasgow because it just won't look right. Are these benchmarks compulsory the way they're done? Or can you not actually look at them for the size of the area that you're doing it for?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor again. Yeah, so within these graphs, what we're trying to do is show comparisons with Scotland. So there's a line in there that shows Scotland, and that's the blue line. And the target line, which is the green line. Yeah. And there's a lilac. That's my very big box. A light purple colour, which is the family group. So I can't remember, maybe Judy is online and Judy might be able to just give us an indication to the family group. So what that family group is trying to, they're making, again, Judy will just clarify this just to keep it right on that. So they're looking at like councils, not exactly the same, but like councils. The Scotland one's given the Scotland picture, and you've got the big, huge councils in there, 100, 400, 500,000 populations, and then you've got the small ones, the family group should be coming a bit closer, but it doesn't always. Sometimes that's to do with socio-economic data, sometimes it's to do with geographic data. But Judy, would you do me a favour, please, just explain that for councillor for the committee, please?
Sorry, I didn't hear the specific question there. Or
just asking you to perhaps explain the logic for the family groups and the local government benchmarking framework.
Yeah.
And the perhaps for us.
Yeah, for indicators in social work, education and housing, they're based on deprivation levels, whereas for other services, they're based on rurality or population density. They're never going to be perfect because every authority is unique. You know, I think that's something we all know, that every area is different, and particularly in terms of population, we have no close comparators. So the you know, other authorities are either half our population or twice, so we are kind of a wee sort of isolated section. And there are also issues with the deprivation family group, because some of these change more frequently than the membership of the family groups. So these groups have all been in place since 2013 when the framework was implemented, and we were 9th for deprivation, so we're basically just outside the most deprived group. So it may mean that some of these comparisons aren't perfect. We have frequently been trying to raise some of the issues with the small authority issue with the improvement service, and in some instances it is difficult because the framework is really more useful for large authorities. There are also some indicators where we're getting no value reported, and that's quite disappointing, that it's frequently the smaller authorities who get no value because of, you know, data integrity or small sample sizes. And I think that's a bit disappointing, that actually, because we pay a flat rate for participation, it means that actually small authorities are paying proportionately more for this piece of work, but we're actually getting a slightly lesser value out of it. You know, I think these are issues that we do try to raise. I think one thing in particular with regard to the inspections is that because of workforce issues in a lot of the inspection agencies and organisations as well, there are some instances where they're going for a more risk-based approach to inspections. So in some cases, they are inspecting areas that are likely to have greater risk, which means that the positive results that we would get if they were doing a wider selection in, you know, in stronger performers as well as, you know, higher risk areas, then, you know, that would have a balancing effect, and the result might not have reduced. But I think it is detailed in the People Directorate's business plan how they're managing this issue and supporting the particular establishments that that are having areas for improvement identified.
Can I just ask a supplementary question there? I know what you're saying about you know, the risks and all the rest of it, but surely with us such a small county, then the risks could get hidden within that, because if you're using just one type of parameter, then it can cause problems as well. Or am I not looking at it the same right way?
Perhaps I could come back on that, Councillor. The whole basis of the National Performance Framework set out in the Local Government Benchmarking Framework, which used to be the statutory performance indicators, which used to be set by the Scotland and report against those. We now got a national data set, and we've got more choice over what we choose on that. So, you know, I think to supplement that, we could have more local data gathering data comes with a cost. So there's a balance with that, and it would require more probably corporate support services to enable that, perhaps in the way that we might have done 10, 15 years ago. So you've always got to balance that out. I think the main thing is that we've got a statutory duty of best value and to demonstrate continuous improvement. So I think there are definitely flaws in the system, and we continue to raise that. There is work ongoing at the council to look at the balance of the measures and think about what best reflects what we are trying to achieve as a council through Be the Future, But I think there will always remain a duty to show how we're performing more widely against others in terms of that best value duty, which does require to show how you're performing compared to others, to show whether your trends are improving or otherwise, and what you're doing about it, and how you're performing against the targets that you set yourself. So, there are flaws with the system, but it's probably the best that we've got. We are raising the issues, and we are continuing to look at what we can do internally as well to make it more meaningful for councillors.
Thanks.
Judith, can I ask you, I didn't quite catch everything you were saying. Did you actually list at any point the members of our family group?
I didn't list them, but I can if you wish. So for the deprivation grouping, they are Dumfries and Galloway, Falkirk, Fife, Renfrewshire, South Ayrshire, South Lanarkshire and West Lothian.
Right, I got Dumfries and Galloway, Falkirk, South, Renfrewshire, South Ayrshire, South Lanarkshire?
Yeah.
What was it?
West Lothian, is it, Jim?
Oh, West Lothian.
West Lothian, yeah.
And that's the group that applies to in all statistics. Yeah. That's the family group for everything, or just for this?
That's for what's considered people services. So it's our people services internally and adult social work as well.
Okay, many thanks. Thanks for this.
Right, any further questions from members? In that case, I will formally propose the paper and looking for a seconder. Councillor Benny, you're it. Councillor McTaggart is fled. Right, do members wish to debate the paper? They don't. Are we minded to accept? Yes, I think so. Yes, we are. Paper is accepted. On to item 9. Homeless performance is given by Strategic Director of Place and People. We have another place. Unfortunately, that's a point. Sorry. Beg your pardon. Sorry.
This paper seeks to provide the Commission an update on the homeless situation in Clackmannshire and the Council's performance in relation to meeting our statutory obligations. I'll provide a brief summary of that, so, which is that, first of all, could I just point out that the cycle in which the information is drawn is not ideal. The national statistics aren't really available until Q3, and so at this point in time, we have thrown information from the end of March, and those figures have yet to be verified. As a consequence, there's an intention to bring a further paper in Q3, which will allow us to do the national comparisons. So, people point out and actually to note that there is an increase nationally in homelessness across Scotland. Locally, that has replicated the unverified figure from last year. Homeless applications. That rates Clackmannshire to the third highest per capita rate of applications in Scotland, and that's in a situation which has been the case for the effects of starting to the early 2000s. However, the numbers of households in temporary accommodation and the time in temporary accommodation are below the national average, as is the time to resolve a case. Just reflecting back on the previous discussion we started in relation to statistics, I point that out because I think that's quite an interesting one. It may actually suggest that performance is actually very good in Clackmannshire. If you imagine that you have amongst the highest number of people presenting, yet the time people have to wait for a final resolution is amongst the lowest. You expect that, and it might be that there's a suggestion that performance is better in Clackmannshire. We have more live cases this year than the cases last year, have increased by 7.5%, and unfortunately also have local accommodation, which is a 12% increase for this time. And both those are quite worrying. There are a number of factors which may get the customer pandemic, void turnaround issues which members will be aware of, additionally, additional applications in relation to Ukrainian refugee crisis. Those individuals, equivalent to those in the Ukraine scheme, will have bypassed through their houses and into standard housing. So that had to be absorbed. On top of that, also there's the land situation. Which again, take provision of all these things for increasing demand for temporary accommodation, etc. We have seen an increase in the number of breaches of the unsuitable accommodation order. We would reflect that Clark Marshall are against in a difficult position with unsuitable accommodation order because the majority of those breaches relate to places in temporary accommodation out with the Clark Marshall orders. The margin of Clark Marshall is small, but that's placing something to someone who would be not uncommon is considered to be a breach of that order. You'll look at Murray in the past say that Heavens and Islands, with the size of Belgium, doesn't have that same issue, and they're relatively low, despite the fact that they can send people 100 plus miles away from their support networks. We're quite happy to answer any questions that you have in relation to the paper, so leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Wilson. Members, any questions? Please, Councillor Rennie.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies if you've already covered this. I'm finding it really hard to hear this morning, but just a question on page 168 in terms of the number of void off-the-shelf buyback properties awaiting refurbishment works, and we know there was a commitment to taking this forward, but it's been slower than anticipated, and I just wondered if there was any explanation for that.
I don't have the details to hand, but I understand that some of the additional contract which was taken on isn't producing results as quickly as we had anticipated it would. I know there's ongoing discussions between ourselves and the contractors to speed that process up to ensure that void turnarounds are minimised in time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in page 166. Page 166, sorry. It's 5.3 second bullet. Work is required with a range of specialist advisors to explore the viability of this option. Is that not anything that could be done in house, or is it a manpower limitation?
In relation to in relation to prevention activity, we have had funding from the Scottish Government in relation to homeless prevention, both through specific homeless prevention monies and the rapid housing monies. Obviously, we've looked to pull together a strategy for that. We have suffered severe manpower issues in relation to the housing strategy. It's effectively down to a single individual now who is focusing most of their resources on the SHIP and the HNDA.
Okay, thanks. On the same page, bullet 4, talks about delivery of money advice services will be a key focus for the team. Is that not something that CAB could take off your hands?
We already contract with such as advice for the majority of our advice services. We are following a restructure from a number of years ago. We have an individual who has significant experience in the delivery of money and benefits advice, who was on the employment list, and we do see advantage of being able to work with our own tenant base with somebody who is a council officer. So that's not to take away from CAB, it's to work alongside them, but to recognise that there are some little advantage to that. And that officer is also working alongside the Strive programme in terms of money and benefits advice and a number of other issues.
Thanks. Yes, the bullet point before that, setting up new tenancies for homeless persons leaving temporary accommodation, but who do not meet the exacting requirements of government grant assistance from Scottish welfare funds. Can you explain a little bit more about what these exacting requirements are?
The requirements for Scottish Welfare Fund, if taken out is that it's a little bit of a nice SWF, so if you bear with me a second, I get my thoughts right on that. The requirement that you can only receive a community care grant for setting up a new property if you meet certain specific exacting requirements. One of those is that you have been or are homeless, and in addition, you must be receiving as statutory basic support service. So those two components together make it possible that there are some people who will find it difficult setting up their first tenancy because they cannot access that. But they have sufficient skills to not necessarily require housing support assistance, but they don't have the financial means to be able to furnish their own home and create successful tenancy. So we identify there's a gap between that, which we would like to look at plugging in limited circumstances to ensure that we greater chances of tenancy sustained for that limited group of individuals.
That's good. Yeah, going back to the point you made about Highland territorial sparsity of population, I was disappointed to read in 6.6 that the Scottish Government was not persuaded by our proposals. The proposals seem to me to be simply clear. Is there more to it than that? Were there other reasons that your proposals weren't acceptable to the SG?
Those discussions were sometime pre-COVID, I believe. Our argument was that the rules as they stood permitted for that because simply removing the geographical boundary enabled you to move to the next step, which would be that the person's needs were met in terms of their access to family support, to work, etc. So our argument was that there was a requirement for a geographical boundary in that, but unfortunately that fell on deaf ears, and the Scottish Government kept the key definition of family duty.
And they didn't attempt to explain why they objected to that. I mean, obviously, if you did that on a radius from centre basis, that would not be logical and sensible.
You would think, but unfortunately, we weren't able to persuade them.
That's fine, thanks. Yeah, 8.3 on page 169. Recent cuts made to the budget of the delivery of the affordable housing supply programme made reaching Scottish Government's target of 110,000 homes extremely challenging one. Is that programme funded by?
I'm afraid we don't have information. It's not my specific case. I'm afraid. Do you like that? I can get that.
Useful to know if the targets are being set, but the funding is not being provided, because that obviously creates a gap that we might have to look elsewhere to fill.
I will arrange for the statement.
Thank you.
I'd just say it is fully funded by the Scottish
It is. So for clarity, then they're setting the targets and supplying. They're supplying the targets, setting the targets and supplying the finance. Okay, so presumably it matches at the beginning, but it doesn't match now because of circumstances. Yes.
I understand the unit cost of building has risen significantly, and that has made huge problems in terms of unit cost of building each property. During the period thereafter, that has risen dramatically, which would have an impact on how far each building is spent.
I don't know if one of the other members want to come in, or members of the team want to come in here, but the point that's been raised, sorry. The point that's been raised, building costs have exponentially risen since the pandemic, since the various elements of the pandemic. And the housing grant hasn't kept pace with that. So it's costing us far more to supply than previously. Additionally, there's obviously restrictions on what we can do with the money. Therefore, the police team are currently in negotiations with the Scottish Government to see if there could be some kind of flexibility around the affordable housing grant to make it more appropriate for our setting.
Thanks, Chair. That's good to know.
Okay, any further questions from members?
Okay, in that case, I will formally propose the paper. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Taggart, thank you. Do members wish to debate the paper? No, take note. I recommend invited to accept. You are. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. 10. This is the staff survey 2023. It will be presented by Chris.
The paper as presented asks committee to note the details of the 2023 staff survey and the key themes arising from it. The 2023 survey maintained our usual indicators for staff engagement with a focus on the themes of work, health and wellbeing and communication. Some of the key headlines from the survey include a response rate of 32% to the survey, which is a 6 percentage point increase when compared to a previous survey. Overall staff engagement is over 67%, and this remains a marked improvement on the initial survey which we first undertook in 2018. Staff feedback was most positive with regards to staff having a sense of achievement for the work they undertook and being treated with dignity and respect. Views are more mixed in relation to feeling valued and being given the opportunity to make decisions regarding their role. Of particular note is a reduction in mental health across the council. 52% of respondents rated their mental health from fair to very poor. General comments received were themed around internal comms, IT services, leadership and visibility, and staff wellbeing. Individual directorate results will be tabled and bipartite for discussion with union colleagues, and the council's workforce development and learning team leader and I are happy to take questions in the room.
Chris, members want to take questions? Page 183. I'll bring in Councillor Ray. Councillor Ray, you wish to ask a question? This is frozen.
Frozen, I thought she has.
Well, perhaps you have like a couple of questions to ask. We'll just keep an eye on it.
Sorry, I lost my screen there for a second. Is it okay to come in now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions. On page 190, I think it is. No, 189. Where it actually asks if somebody is confident in raising issues or dangers where they see them. Most people obviously said yes in terms of 78%, but what was concerning within that was then there was a number who said that they disagreed or they strongly disagreed. And I know in the paper it states that there'll be a follow-up to do with the health and safety culture, but I was just wondering if more analysis had been done to see why people felt unable to raise those concerns.
I think, well, thanks for the question. I think the most important thing in there is that first aspect that you raised, which is the health and safety culture review, which will be instrumental in taking a deeper dive into those figures. There's been no supplementary work undertaken at the moment since the results came in. We have agreed to hosting staff and trade union forums to understand better the results, but I think in particular, really want to highlight that is that the work of Sean and her team with that health and safety culture review will be instrumental in the future.
Okay, thank you. Can I do a follow-up just on page 191.
Sorry, can I interrupt you a second? I think we're going to come in on your question, on your first question. Can you hold your second question off just now? And Stuart Pittman will comment on your first question.
All right, okay.
Thanks very much, Councillor Henry. Apologies for the interruption. Yeah, just also wanted to highlight that we've introduced a new whistleblowing policy. I think it was towards the back end of last year, possibly autumn last year, and we've done quite a bit of publicity around that. So, you know, I would hope that the measures that we'll put in place with that new policy and encouraging people to come forward, and included in that actually is health and safety. That's one of the kind of key areas in the whistleblower policy. So hopefully continued encouragement with that will also help with people feeling that they can come forward and the issue will be heard appropriately and dealt with. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Just on my other question then, if that's okay, Chair. So on page 191, it refers to bullying and harassment, and I was concerned to see within that there were 24 who said they'd experienced bullying from an elected member. Obviously, being an elected member, I have concerns about that, and I wondered if there was follow-up with individual elected members, or if that was, with the questionnaires being you know, confidential, whether that we wouldn't have that information. But you know, it's something that I think we should be taking seriously as elected members, that's been raised. And I just wondered if there's been more review of it.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. You're absolutely right there, Councillor. The survey is entirely anonymous and confidential, and we hold that very strictly. So there's no way that we can follow that with individual respondents, because there is not any way that we can identify who is providing that feedback. I would echo your concerns for all of the figures that are there in terms of bullying and harassment. It's something we take very seriously, and will do so going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's one of the questions I was going to be asking too. And just in the period covered by this survey, were there any complaints made, without names or anything like that, were there any complaints made about elected members? Because I feel if we're sitting here in judgment, we need to be judged. Were there any complaints made against elected members?
I think I'll refer over to my colleague Chris for that answer.
In terms of funding, I'm not aware of where staff on a regular basis to the issue of the approach to the auditing system. We would talk to those of staff. So I'm not very formal cases raised by staff members with regards to elected member.
And I would agree with that. I think more complaints about elected members.
Thank you, that's great. Right, I was going to ask on page 183, one of the tables, it gives figure 25% of the respondents, total 787, and it gives them by their directorate, but it doesn't set the number of respondents against the total population to know whether some directorates are better represented than others. That would be useful. Do you agree?
Thanks for that, Councillor. And it was actually something I anticipated being asked today, so I think that's a very pertinent point that you raised there. In general, the response rates that we see are generally reflective of the overall council population. So we can be fairly robust, again, in terms of the statistical validity of the results that we see, but they are representative both on a council-wide basis, but in particular on a directorate by directorate basis as well.
That's fine, but it means that not one directorate is not swaying the decision-making process in its direction. That's good to know. Okay. Another question, just to remember one. Yes, 185, figure 3, overall staff engagement aggregated. Staff engagement, is that different from taking part in the survey? Because obviously statistically 67% isn't 32. So that must mean something different. Maybe just haven't read that somewhere.
No, you're absolutely right again, Councillor. We have our overall response rate, which is that 32% figure that you see. Staff engagement is an aggregated figure that we have used since 2018 in all our surveys. And it's made up of a number of statements, 5 statements in total, which are unclear about how to contribute to the organisation's goals. I feel that I'm treated with dignity and respect within my team. I feel a sense of achievement for the work I do. I feel valued for the work I do, and I'm given the opportunity to make decisions related to my role. Now, we have asked all those questions in the same exact manner since 2018, and we aggregate those scores to give us an overall staff engagement benchmark for the whole organisation. Why that's so effective is it allows us to see on an annualised basis where our peaks and troughs are in terms of staff engagement. So whereas our larger question set within the survey may change based on priorities or themes, such as with COVID wellbeing survey that we included in 2020, again, what we always do is we include those 5 indicators to allow us to see that trend analysis over time in terms of how engaged, if you will, the staff are with the organisation.
Okay, so if I choose to interpret it this way, I might say that 67% of 32%. If it was the same every year, it was 32% every year, which is roughly about 20%. So what you've stated here is that 1 in 5 people are prepared to say that they are happy.
It's always based on the respondents to the survey. Yeah, so it'd be 65% of the respondents to the survey. That's correct.
Aye. Final one from me, I think. At page 192, figures 14 and 15. It would have been interesting to examine a link between those who work flexibly and those who are happy with the work-life balance. Might have learned something from that. That would be useful information.
Do you agree? That's a very good point. Again, it's probably worth noting that we have ongoing work. You in your previous questions, you have reflected, and Councillor Rennie as well, is there work happening as a result of this survey? We have ongoing work with Flexibility Works, which is a Scottish organisation looking at how flexible working is implemented within the organisation, what the uptake's like, and any gaps or developments in our approach that we need to take to ensure that we make the best use of the flexible working options that we have for staff. So there's certainly, whereas the staff survey does give an indication as to how people are working flexibly within the organisation, the ongoing work that we're doing with Flexibility Works, how many times can you say flexible in one sentence, will certainly help develop the figures that we're seeing reflected in the survey.
Thanks, Jonathan. I think that exhausts me. So to speak. Yeah. Okay. Any further questions from members?
Thank you. Going back to the bullying that Councillor Rennie raised, and I realise that the survey is anonymised and that it's impossible to find out who offered this opinion. Bullying in the workplace, I think, it should be zero tolerance. Is there any way that you can reach out to those, even just a generic question, if you answered that you have been bullied by an elected member, colleague, whatever, in the staff survey, and you would be prepared to come forward, please contact us confidentially, sort of thing. Because we know that there's an increase in mental health issues, as I said earlier when you were talking about the police report. Bullying in the workplace exacerbating a problem with mental health, and that then resulting in somebody isolating themselves, whether it's in the workplace or elsewhere, as a result of that, is just unacceptable. So is there some way that we can try to pull that out? I mean, we can still retain the anonymity as a generic reach out and offer a confidential route to be able to discuss that.
Well, we would say, council has processes in place for that, dignity of work, policy and procedure. We are looking at rolling out for harassment advisors, maybe staff can contact. They can go to the trade union representatives, we can give this policy. We are doing a Collins piece on dignity of work and believing that it is exceed tolerance. So there are multiple avenues for staff to come forward. I think it's us promoting those avenues and those tools more, that they do feel confident that they can do it.
Thanks, Chris.
So I was going to comment on that. I wonder if it's maybe perhaps turning around in a way so that we were concerned about perhaps bullying in relation to elected members, that perhaps we look at putting some training in place for elected members to understand what, what they may not perceive as bullying, that somebody else may perceive as bullying, which may provide some assistance in that area. So it's maybe something you and I could take up together as part of that training program.
Yeah, I think in promoting the results of the survey, we've always used the phrase of listen, understand, act. Because I think we reflect that the survey itself is only one part of the staff engagement process. So you issue a survey, you get results. It's nothing if you don't act on the results that you're receiving on staff. And it's also the way that you engage staff in further surveys down the line. So as you've seen that the answers today, there's a range of work ongoing. And I think for that particular issue, where we will be going out to the senior leadership forum and to the team leadership forum, all these themes, if you will, and the specific feedback will be placed out for all our managers to have a look at. We'll see specific feedback. There are a range of supports that Chris has already said, but it could be that through that process we identify further supports or further actions that we can take forward, like what we just suggested as well, that would be of real benefit to these people that are responding to the survey and are highlighting those particular issues that we're finding.
Okay, thanks for that. Any further questions? Okay, now again, before we propose the paper, and would like to say anything? Here's Rebecca.
You keep jumping. Everybody matter.
Do we remember the wish to debate the paper? No. Are we minded to approve?
Yep.
We are. Thank you. Papers approved.
What is the last one?
No, it's not.
Yes, Chief Spanish Watch. Right, the Chief Spanish Watch says it's 2 hours, so we should go and have a short break. We'll be at 22. That should be enough time.